Welcome, this is Charles with SimplyNUC.com, and today we'll be taking a look at the new Intel NUC, the Gen 6 Celeron Arches Canyon, and this is the fully configured version. And while this is a pre-production engineering sample, the product does reflect the production product. This packaging does not. Now inside, the manual, Visa plate, power adapter, and screws are all there, and those are the same as production. Product comes in a plastic bag. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the product itself. One of the first changes you'll notice is the power button, power LED, and drive activity LED are missing from the top lid. This is now just a plain plastic lid, no holes in it. Power button has been moved to the front with the power indication in the button. And then you'll notice that on the smoked plastic faceplate that there's a rectangle. This is actually transparent, and the drive activity LED blinking behind this makes that glow. And so you'll see this whole panel flash when there's drive activity, writing or reading to the SSD or drive. On the front are the two USB 3.0 ports. The yellow one indicates that it's a charging port and has the 2.1 amps of power available for charging devices. And the blue is a standard color, 0.9 amps. And you'll notice the 3.5 millimeter TRRS, or this is a headset jack. And so this supports headphones, microphones, or headsets. And then the IR receiver is probably behind the plate. This is transparent, so it can pick up IR. And then you also notice these two little holes. There's microphones embedded inside, and so this gives you stereo microphones. And so this would be for like OSs such as Windows 10 that now ships with Cortina, that you can talk to the OS or other devices. Taking a look at the side, you'll notice that there's the SD slot. There is a Kensington cable lock slot, and then there's new hole patterns on the side, and a lot more of them, a lot more area. These hole patterns actually split the board. I'm not sure if you can see in there, but some of the holes are open to the top of the board and some to the bottom of the board. So this allows fresh air to come across into the top area where the chipset is, go across the blower and out through the CPU heatsink and exhaust. And then there's openings below the motherboard so that the SSD, the 2.5-inch drive, and the DIMM sockets have fresh air as well. Taking a look at the back, we have the CPU exhaust area. We have a 19-volt 5.5 by 2.5 DC jack. This is consistent with the other Intel NUC products. And this product actually does not work with 12 volts. I'm not sure if it works with 13.8. I'll cover that later. And then there is two USB 3.0 ports on the back. There's another 3.5 millimeter audio jack. This one is just stereo, so you can have a stereo headset, you can have a microphone, and then there's optical in here so that you can support Toslink optical cable to your component stereo system and do 7.1 surround sound. There's an HDMI port, which is HDMI 2.0, fully compliant. There's a VGA port for your second monitor, and then there is a Intel Gigabit Ethernet jack, which does support IEEE 1588 and other technologies that Intel embeds into their higher-end desktop Ethernet chip. The other side has just another set of hole patterns similar to the other side, and both above and below the motherboard. And then that leads us to the bottom. Now this one has the FCC certification, so this is probably not an engineering sample as much as it's a pre-production and represents actual production product. All right, in our next video, I'm going to open this up. We're going to take a look inside. Real quick, I'll go ahead, since the lids are really easy to remove, there's a couple of gaps in the back, and just show you under the lid. And so this is the CPU blowers here and the CPU heatsinks here. The blower blows air out. And then these are the tuned antennas, and these are both 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz. and it supports Bluetooth and AC radios as well as BGN. So there's your antennas, and then there's the plastic top. This one has some screws holding the plastic together. I've already previously loosened the screws. First thing you'll notice is that the 2.5-inch drive bay is not part of the bottom, just a bottom plate. Now this one is a pre-production, and it's possible that the production version of the fully configured will not come with the 2.5-inch drive plate or without the cables, similar to how they did the Gen 5. But this one has the 2.5-inch drive bay as a separate metal plate, and this one is cabled. This is a pre-production unit, may not resemble the actual production unit. One other interesting thing is that this one has 2 DIMM sockets, which is different than the previous Celeron and Pentiums, which had a single socket that you could put a 2 gig, a 4 gig, or an 8 gig DIMM in. Not sure why they went with the 2 sockets, but this does allow for now putting in 2 4 gig DIMMs to get a dual rank, dual bank, and dual channel configuration. It does not support more than 8 gig, even though it has the 2 sockets. That's just a Celeron Pentium limitation, I believe. Also, this chipset does support 1866, but with the additional cache latency of the 1866, and that the 1600 is a standard model. I'm not sure that there's enough performance difference between the 1866 and the 1600 to justify the price difference. Here you can see the 802.11 AC radio. This is also Bluetooth 4.2. and it also supports BGN. Now, one thing that's also new about it is that the chassis is plastic, and there is a metal sleeve around the perimeter of the inside to provide the FCC emissions compliance. And the VGA cable is not a connector that's soldered down on the border, but a separate cable. All right, that is the inside of the new Arches Canyon product. Thank you very much.